Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, gaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. This is live stream 1185. If you're not familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then I'll usually pontificate about a topic, or with the new format that we're going to experiment with starting tonight, I'd like to put some of the topics in your hands. So keep that in mind. So if there's something you're curious about or something you'd like to talk about, we can tackle some of that after today's tabletop gaming news. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live show, there is chat available. If you are a subscriber to the channel and have been for at least 10 minutes, you can take part in chat. Yes. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. Of course, if you would like to support the Gaming Gang, we do have 4 levels of membership over at our Patreon. You will find the link in the show notes. And of course, be sure to hang with the gang over on our Discord server. There is an invite link to that in the show notes as well. So first out the gate tonight in chat is Semper Buffo. Pete Strakulich is with us, as is Keithulu, Willona's Cave, Mike, Kathy Evans, and Michael McGuire. So welcome aboard, everybody. I'll take a wild guess that maybe the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D, who happens to be one of our chat moderators, might be lurking in the shadows. Very possible. Yes. Willona's Cave with $1.99 super chat. So they passed the 10-minute mark. Yep, Willona's Cave's been a subscriber for a while. In fact, I believe most of you currently in chat at the moment are subscribers. Tessie Trekkie is popping on in to join us too. Howdy, howdy. All right, let's jump on into the news, because landing in print this July from Acheron Games is the second of 3 Broncolonia releases. That's right, I'm talking about Furious Lands and Other Jobs. Furious Lands and Other Dirty Jobs, I forgot to say dirty, so I left that out, is an anthology of campaigns and adventures for Broncolonia, the spaghetti fantasy setting for the 5E, or 5th edition, I guess we'll say, of the world's greatest role-playing game. Their words, not mine. Not that I'm, ripping at it. I'm just, I don't think it's the greatest role-playing game, in my opinion. But still, this volume collects all the previously unpublished special edition and out-of-print modules for Broncolonia, officially released between 2022 and 2024. It also includes additional content unlocked during the 3rd crowdfunding campaign for Broncolonia. This volume contains Furious Lands, a campaign in 4 episodes, Honor Among Knaves, a campaign in 7 episodes and 4 interludes, as well as the following adventures: The Last Voyage of the Misfit, We All Clubbed Each Other So Much, The Betrothed, Carcian and or The Devil's Brigade. Or I should say, I take that back. It's The Devil's Bridge. This 144-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $39 when it arrives this summer. You can grab the PDF right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $16. And as I mentioned last night, as we were talking about the Spaghetti Fantasy Bestiary for Broncolonia, I really like Broncolonia. I have reviewed the first 3 volumes. Was it the first 3 or first 4 that I've reviewed? And liked quite a lot of fun. It's a cool setting. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The player characters are rogues. That's why they're called knaves. They're not just, the simple heroic types. They're not all paladins looking to do the right thing. So very nice. So once again, arriving in July, and the PDF is out now. Yeah, Sarah D is with us with her glittery banhammer. Matthew Blackwell is also joining us in chat, as is Alan Rowe, Clontos, and did I see somebody else new? No, I did not. Lona's Cave said, side note, Call of Cthulhu is making a 1980s setting in Japan, which is smart due to it being the most played system in Japan. I know it is very, very popular in Japan. In fact, it's, to my knowledge, it is more popular than Dungeons and Dragons or any other role-playing game out there. And if it's not, then it's second place behind D&D. But I could have swore the last time I heard some discussion about role-playing games in Japan, Call of Cthulhu was still hanging on to that top spot. On to our next news piece. Next month is going to see the release of the Pathfinder Treasure Vault Remastered from Paizo Inc. I've got the dope. Pathfinder Treasure Vault Remastered reveals the glittering hoard of a terrifying dragon as presented by the creature's plucky kobold assistant. This 224-page hardcover rulebook presents a catalog of gear from nearly every category of equipment and magic item available in the Pathfinder role-playing game, updated to work perfectly with the remastered Pathfinder 2nd Edition rules. Give your character the perfect tool for the job with signature weapons, customizable relics, and wondrous items to fit your every need while preparing for any eventuality with potions, elixirs, wands, and more. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my! Each chamber of the Dragon's Vault contains a mountain of treasure, from deadly weapons and forgotten suits of armor to mysterious alchemical items and deadly poisons. There's something in the vault for everyone, including nearly 600 items spread across numerous equipment types. Over 50 weapons, such as the devastating Earthbreaker hammer and the ferocious Felcata, shields and armor of all types and materials, like the magical Starfall shield that turns you into a living comet. An entire chapter, Alchemy Unleashed, that introduces over 100 alchemical items, covering everything from restorative lozenges to searing flamethrowers. I almost said flame shooters. Doi! New magic items, all shapes and sizes, from magical tattoos, which I think are getting a revamp, to artifacts like the goddess Shellin's mighty glaive, the Whisperer of Souls. There's even an entire chapter of variant and expanded crafting rules and special categories of items that can give you power that comes at a dangerous price. These 224-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $64.99. It is slated to arrive early June. I think it's about June 4th. I think that might be the date. And of course, on that date, or thereabouts, if I'm wrong on the June 4th, you'll be able to get the PDF for $19.99. We got a review of this. Well, not the remastered edition, but the Pathfinder second edition. So we do have that. And I did a first look video too. If I remember right, I think it's Sammy's review of the Treasure Vault. Yay. Gotta say, it is jam-packed artwork. And if you are a game master who likes to have images of their items, yeah, this is a book that should be on your radar. It really, really should. Mike says, wolf jaw armor with the wolf head. Sweet. Let's see. Belagan, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. A Jedade? And I'm not even close. Is joining us in chat. I believe it might be a first-time visit with us live. So welcome aboard. Sean O'Donnell is also popping on in, as has Matteo. So it looks like our chat is rocking and rolling tonight. Very nice. If you are joining us late, do want to mention if there's any particular topic or maybe a question, something you want to float out there. We're going to talk about just anything and everything after the news. That's kind of going to be the new format of the dispatch. We'll do the news and then we'll kind of chat. We won't necessarily always have a topic that we're going to tackle because I would like to have some of the topics come more from you, the viewers, hanging out in chat, as opposed to myself. Just saying. Shadow Down says, can't wait for that to hit a bundle. Well, we did talk about the Pathfinder bundle that's over on Humble Bundle right now on last night's show. It is a fantastic deal. It really, really is. In fact, let's talk about another fantastic deal because that Traveler Celebration is rocking and rolling over at Bundle of Holding. And there's yet another Mongoose Traveler second edition offer. I've got the deets on the deal for Pirates of Dranax. Attention, Traveler! This revived May 2021 Traveler Pirates of Dranax. Let's go with Dranax. I like that, sounds a little better. Dranax, just Dranax sounds like cool. Yeah, we're pirates. Where are you from? We're from Dranax, man. Gonna cut you a new smile, daddy-o. This is the second of two revivals in progress featuring the second edition Traveler Tabletop science fiction role-playing game. Say that 5 times fast. From Mongoose Publishing. If you don't have the first offer, which we talked about on last night's show, the revived May 2021 Mongoose Traveler second edition bundle, by all means, grab that because you're going to need those in order to use this. Then, of course, you've got one of the most acclaimed campaigns in role-playing game history, the Pirates of Dranax. In the Trojan Reach star sector, the backwater world of Dranax once ruled an empire. Now King Oleb the 16th enlists you as privateers to prey on illegal trade in his vanished kingdom to fund his ambitions to restore Dranax to glory. Will you help? And if so, how? All paths are open in this massive 10-part epic by Gareth Ryder Hanrahan. Oh, yeah, we know Gareth's work. Like the Moria book for the One Ring second edition. Damn, that is good. That is good stuff. Of course, he's done some, I was going to say Delta Green. Yeah, he has done some Delta Green. So good stuff. For just $12.95, you're going to get all 4 titles in this revived offers Dranax Starter Collection, which has a retail value of $57, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete 3-volume, 595-page The Pirates of Dranax and the first 3 Reach adventures, which are set in the Trojan Reach. Marooned on Marduk, Theories of Everything, and Calyx Cruel Incident. And if you pay more than the threshold price of $26.56, which I am going to guess has probably gone up a few cents since I put this news piece together, but still, it's probably less than $27 or just over. You're going to level up and also get this Revival's entire Drinix bonus collection with 5 more titles worth an additional $90, including the helpful Drinixian Companion, Shadows of Sindal, and 3 more Reach adventures. Last Flight of the Armor, the Borderland Run, and Exodus. These savings run through May 21st. Talk about this all the time. A lot of people out there would love to get started with Traveler, check it out. But they're always like, oh man, it's too expensive. Hear that a lot. Oh, Mongoose Publishing stuff so expensive. Hey, I'm not saying it's not. Okay. I'm not like sitting there going, poo on you. It's so cheap. No, it is pricier than other role-playing games out there. But that's why you keep your eyes peeled for bundles like this. And especially if you have not experienced the magic of Traveler, the other Mongoose Traveler 2nd edition bundle that's going on right now as well. Very nice. WForge is popping on in tonight. Welcome. Keithulu says they just earned a few XP, took out a budding wasp nest. Oh, I hate wasps. Bees, yeah, okay, bees are all right. Yellow jackets, they're a pain in the ass because for some reason, they're always coming after me. But wasps, no thank you. Especially when you see them and they're like bigger than your thumb. You're like, what the? It's just eyeing you. You're like, yeah, I'm stupid enough to sting you and then die because I stung you. Yeah. Moonrise Long, now available in print from Exalted Funeral, is Big Trouble for Little Blood for Dungeon Crawl Classics and Weird Frontiers. Here's what I know. Big Trouble for a Little Blood is a Weird Frontiers role-playing game, 3rd level adventure designed for 4 to 6 characters and playable within about 4 hours. The adventure is heavily inspired by the classic film. Oh, let's see. Can you guess? Anybody want to take a guess? Big Trouble in Little China. I know. You were sitting there thinking, Chinatown, man. Yeah, obviously. No. Players who've seen the movie may recognize similarities between characters and events, but their prior knowledge will not spoil anything about this adventure. It's Chinese New Year in San Francisco when the vampires attack. They capture Miao Pai, a Chinese girl with green eyes, and drink the blood of other innocents. To save the girl, will the player characters trek into a vampiric bar or journey into the thin places beneath the earth? Either way, the PCs must find the head vampire and slay him before dawn, or else poor Mai Pao, or Miao Pai, I guess it is, will be yet another name in the growing list of ex-sanguinated green-eyed girls. Then we've also got the sinister secret of the Slugmen, which is actually a bonus adventure designed for 4 to 6 second-level characters. This adventure is typically playable in about 4 hours, too. The characters find themselves chasing a bounty hunter who's gone bad in his search for secret Confederate gold. It is meant to be set anywhere along the Arkansas River, but can be moved around as the judge sees fit. This adventure owes a debt of inspiration to Robert E. Howard's The Horror of the Mound, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Resident Evil 4. The little town of Weber's Grove is rocked when dead bounties have their... Bet. Something's missing here. It says the little town of Weber's Grove, or Weber's Grove is probably how it's pronounced, is rocked when dead bounties have their explode. What explode? And monsters crawl out. Somebody forgot something there. Chase down Leopold Luthers and his gang of ex-Confederate bounty hunters. Never a good man to have around. Leopold has been hanging around Weber's Grove. Now they changed the spelling of it. Aha! Well, this cell sheet information Could have used a little, second look there. Because first it's W-E-B-E-R apostrophe S. Then suddenly it's W-E-B-B-E-R apostrophe S. Anyway, he's been hanging around Weber's Grove for too long in search for lost Confederate gold. Something has happened to turn this bad man even badder. You can grab the 36-page zine with PDF over at Exalted Funeral for an MSRP of $12. Come on, a couple of adventures, 12 bones? How can you say no? Or if you want to just score the PDF, you can do so over at Drive-Thru RPG for $6.99. I have not taken a peek at Weird Frontiers. We have a review of it. I think it was Sammy who reviewed that. May have been somebody else who was contributing. But I have not had a chance to take a peek. And of course, it is built on the Dungeon Crawl Classics rule set. So you've got that. Sarah D said that she and Mr. Eddie T had wasps in their shower for a couple of weeks. Oh, damn. They were getting through a window in the shower that needed replacing. Better than coffee first thing in the morning. Oh, yeah, that would wake you up. I would certainly believe that. Yes. Mike says, it was a dark and stormy night. Peace Wrangler says, lovely inflatable exploding villain. Hey, it's possible. That is possible. I don't know what was missing there. I took that info right from Exalted Funeral's website, too. So, yeah. But this could be kind of cool. Could be kind of cool. On to the final news piece, now available in print and PDF from Nerdura. Nerdura? Let's say it's Nerdura Games. Is True D6 Scourges and Leviathans. And I've got the lowdown. Welcome to the threshold of this new adventure for True D6 Fantasy. Scourges and Leviathans is a series of mini adventures for a group of heroes starting at level 1. In this book, the adventurers will progress to level 3 before facing the challenges that come in the next volumes of this saga. Starting from the heart of Varnic, the last city, the characters will venture beyond the walls to hunt down the Scourges and Leviathans, terrifying creatures that threaten the city's existence. Unlike the usual enemies in True D6, these monsters have detailed stat blocks, and each encounter will be unique, requiring not just courage, but also strategy. Every battle against these calamities will take place in a dedicated arena. At crucial moments in their adventures, the heroes will face particularly formidable enemies, the Scourges, or the terrifying Leviathan. Battles against these creatures will take place in arenas, tactical maps, where each space plays a strategic role in combat. The battlefield terrain can change during the fight. Trees, rocks, webs, and corrosive puddles will create obstacles for the characters, but clever positioning can also be used to their advantage. These monsters are not described using a standard stat block, but instead have a detailed sheet that outlines their various special abilities and body parts. If the heroes choose to target specific parts of the creatures, they can disable some of their abilities, making the battle easier. However, beware, any destroyed body part cannot be recovered after the fight, because by salvaging intact parts from the corpses of defeated enemies, adventurers can bring them to the Arcane Forge, where they can decide which magical item to craft from them. For example, Morbach's acid gland can be used to craft either the venom sealing helm or the corrosive wand, but not both. Which path will the brave Indomitable of Varnac choose? To play Scourges and Leviathans, you need the core rules of True D6. For a richer experience, you can use the additional rules published in True D6 Plus 1 and True D6 Plus 2. The 66-page softcover with PDF is available right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $13. We can grab just the PDF alone for $7.50. I'm kind of curious about True D6 because it started as just like, wasn't it like an ASCII like sheet, like a printout almost? And then I think they crowdfunded, if I remember correctly, so that they actually have, a standard looking sort of rule book for True D6 with artwork and like kind of more traditional layout and that. Kind of curious. Tessie Trekkie says, Weird Frontiers is awesome, but the construction of the book to look like an actual 1880 hardcover makes them anxious about using it at the table. So Tessie Trekkie must have like a limited edition of the hardcover. Lenny Blade is popping on into chat with us. W. Ford says, monsters with weak points. Yes, I always like to see that. Very, very nice. So that is the tabletop gaming news this evening. Of course, I was talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch. What the hell? I bit my tongue. Nice. That's real good. The Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG, Storytellers Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, even Drive-Thru Comics, Drive-Thru Fiction, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I'll get a small portion of that sale. And it all helps to keep thegaminggang.com around. Of course, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you like what we do have a Patreon. There are 4 levels of support that you can jump on board. And of course, the link to our Patreon is down in the show notes. And of course, we also now have a Discord server so you can hang with the gang over on Discord. There is an invite link also down in the show notes. So if you want to hang out with us, you certainly can. Robert Santon is joining us. Very nice. Tessie Trekkie says, no. The standard book has an exposed spine like many 1880s chapbooks. Looks awesome. The game's awesome, but it feels like it's not as protected as a normal book. That's kind of weird because I thought I'd seen the hardcover with that almost like a Cthulhuoid creature on the front with he's wearing like a cowboy hat. I mean, it just looked like a regular hardcover, but hey, I don't know. You're the one who's got it, not me. I don't own it. But that's what it looked like on, I want to say it was on Goodman Games website when I saw it for sale over there. All right, so if you tuned in late or if maybe you missed last night's show, the new format for the Dispatch is going to be tabletop gaming news, and then we'll kind of chat. So if there's some topics that you want to tackle, if you got a question you want to throw out there, maybe there's a game system that you'd like to know more about, fire away. We will actually kind of discuss that. Tessie Trekkie says they'll post an image of the book in the Discord. Sweet. Very cool. So anyway, that is going to be our format. So do want to mention before we get into that, as well as our brief intermission tonight, I reached out to Mongoose Publishing to see, because like I said, it's weird. I reviewed the starter set and then I never heard anything from them again. So I will have to assume that, like many game companies out there, their marketing person, their PR person, or what have you, left. And for whatever reason, a lot of these companies, their PR people, when they leave, they take all their contacts with them, strangely enough. So pretty odd, pretty strange. So I'm assuming that's what happened. Now, I had been informed that they have a new marketing person who just came on board a few days ago. So I saw that over on Facebook. So I congratulated them because it's on Mongoose's official page on Facebook. And I had asked if they're the contact for, reviewers and stuff, and didn't hear anything back. So I fired off an email today just to their sales department to try to see who should I touch base with. Because I would like to bring more coverage of Mongoose Publishing releases to you. We share news all the time about Traveler and Paranoia. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Agile Monk and Bon War are both with us tonight. Welcome to you. All right. So if there's something that you'd like to discuss, by all means, toss it out in chat, and we will get into that. But first, I also want to remind you, whoops, hit the wrong thing there. That was weird. I was going to say, also want to remind you that if you join the Discord, there are some parts of the server that are only for Patreon members, but it's a pretty small portion of it. So you're not really missing anything if you are not a Patreon member. So I wanted to mention that because I think some people kind of have the impression that the Discord server is kind of a, oh, well, you got to pay to really get the good stuff. No, not at all. Not at all. So, anyway, so having said that, we're going to chat a little bit, but first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Good evening. It's intermission time. And during the next 10 minutes, we invite you to visit our refreshment stand located in the center of the drive-in. Quick. You'll find hot dogs, hamburgers, pizza, your favorite candies, hot and cold beverages, other delicious snacks. So add to your fun of watching the movie. Visit our refreshment stand right now during our 10-minute intermission. We're glad to have you with us tonight. We hope you'll come to see us often. It's great. Out to the movies.
Look, everybody! It's the M&M's Candies Man!
Who can take a peanut?
Who can take a peanut?
Make it a delight.
Make it a delight.
Cover it with chocolate, then candy coat it right. The M&M's Man.
The M&M's Man.
The M&M's Man, and he adds a lot of love to make it all taste good. And you know the milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Hi there, time for Timer, your roving reporter. I'm talking to you from inside a fantastic factory, your digestive system. You know what we build here? You, not out of wood or metal, but out of food. You see, you are what you eat, from your head down to your feet. Things like meat and eggs and fish you need to build up muscle tissue. Uh-oh. Hello, appetite control, more protein. We need energy. Playing tennis today, you know. Whoops. All these motors in your body need a lot of fuel to go on, like carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, vitamins, and so on. What's left over forms the building blocks you need, indeed, to grow on. Yes, you are what you swallow, so that next time you feel hollow, don't just fill your face with any old kind of treat. This goes for every kid or 6-foot athlete. All you really are is what you eat.
How about a delicious cup of Wilkins coffee? No. Strange things happen to people who don't drink Wilkins.
Massive, mighty, magnificent, Hercules and the Captive Women. Here at last, an extraordinary adventure. Fascinating, compelling, thrilling. The ultimate in screen entertainment. Hercules and the Captive Women.
Kill me. Kill me, I beg you.
With a new and dynamic personality. Reg Park as Hercules. Frightening with barbaric rituals. Terrifying with murder and intrigue. Hercules, with all the power of his legendary strength, stands alone against these mysterious beings of superhuman power. Hercules and the Captive Women, caught in the grip of a beautiful and passionate woman whose secret sadistic love rituals gave him superhuman strength.
If you will join me in the conquest of the world, all mankind will recognize me as their queen and adore you as the one and only god. Love me, Hercules, and together we shall reign over men and gods.
Hercules and the Captive Women, starring Reg Park and Faye Spain. Don't miss this all-new, outstanding motion picture adventure. Massive in scope, mighty in thrilling action, magnificent in Technicolor and Technorama. Hercules and the Captive Women.
Yeah, so now you've got another movie to go watch for free here on YouTube later on this evening. Mark Oxwell says, I learned very little about the Captive Women. Well, you know, I have seen the movie. I have actually seen the movie, and I've also seen the MST3K skewering of the film. And you don't really learn much about the Captive Women either. Although I have to laugh. Keith Ulu said, the Atlanteans worshipped Uranus. Yes, that's true. In the movie, they do. They do. Kevin R. Smith's with us in chat. Good to see you, Kevin. All right, so we've got a few questions popping on in. I'm not going to answer them in the order that they popped up because some will be a little more detailed than others. So Pete Strackledge says, dedicate a day a week to zines and independent designers. Would love to see some of Wallona's Caves material. I share zines and independent designers in every news portion of the show. I don't need to dedicate a day to it. Also, you got to remember the format of the show has changed as of today. So we're not doing first looks on the show anymore. And you know what? Before we get into the questions that have popped up, I'll explain a few reasons why. So, number one, I'd actually mentioned this in our posts here and on social media and that for a channel that's got now over 15,500 subscribers, we sure don't get a lot of views from subscribers. And, you know, we'll see stuff where video gets 350 views, like in the first few days. It's like, I don't get it. I mean, and, you know, somebody had commented, well, most of your content sucks. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks. Coming from somebody who's got like 6 videos from like years ago that have, 30 views each, it's going to tell me how my content sucks. Yeah, okay, thanks. Not very helpful. So I had people saying, well, like the live streams are too long. Shows are too long. Somebody said, oh, you need to do show notes, or not show notes, timestamps. I said, well, I do timestamps. They said, oh, well, you need to timestamp every game that you're talking about. Sorry, that ain't happening. It's like, if you don't want to, hang out for 20 minutes and watch like the tabletop gaming news, I can't help you. So what am I supposed to do? See, that's one of the things with timestamps. And if you timestamp stuff, like I'll give you an example. I've had people say, well, how come you don't timestamp your reviews anymore? And the reason why is because I found people were clicking on my final thoughts and review and now watching the rest of the video. So I'd have a 20-minute review and I'd get like people like watching, for the most part, like the most watched portion was from that timestamp to, seconds before I end the video, right? So that's why I don't do the timestamps here. So anyway, so I figured if I'm only going to be pulling in 300-400 viewers on the live streams, I mean, overall, not live. I think the best we've done, I think it was one of my D&D live streams. I think we came close to like 200 live viewers. But yeah, it's not usually anywhere near that. So, anywho, I decided, well, you know what? Then we'll just do the news. And then, if something's going on in the hobby, we'll talk about it. People want to float stuff out there, we'll talk about it. W4 says, I believe your episode should still have some kind of topic for discussion. And by all means, if you want to, discuss a topic with chat and myself, I'm all for that. Here's the thing. If I post what a topic is, if people aren't interested in it, they won't watch it. That was one of the things I saw a lot of people saying as far as being subscribers, because I basically posted, so if you're a subscriber and you don't watch the videos, why don't you watch the videos? So we had the one ass clown going, oh, your content mostly sucks. But we had plenty of people who were very honest. And some people said, you know what? I only play 5e. If you're tackling something for 5e or D&D, I guess, I'll watch. Otherwise, yeah, I don't have any interest. Some other people were like, yeah, I'm only interested in certain games. If you're tackling those games, or I'm only interested in certain publishers. So if you're tackling those publishers, I might watch the show. But then again, I did have, a lot of people who were kind of like, yeah, the shows are really long. It's like, well, Off the Shelf Board Game Reviews is with us. Said it's one of the biggest challenges they've had with their channel. People won't watch a video more than 20 minutes unless they already have a vested interest. It's one of the reasons why my reviews I've tried to make shorter. I don't want to do the 8-minute bullshit. There you go. Off the Shelf Board Game Reviews also said, YouTube is 8 minutes to get to the ads, clickbait most of the time. Yep. Oh yeah, of course. We just had a master of clickbait hanging out with us in chat last night. Stephen from Roll for Combat, and he'll be the first one to say, yep. He even said, clickbait, Jeff, it always works. But that's just not how I am. Sean Al says last night was in the low 50s live viewers. Yeah, because even though it wasn't clickbait, because it is what we talked about, it came across a little bit as a clickbaity title. Then it was funny because I had the picture of the Hindenburg, and I don't know how many of you who watched live last night saw this, but there was somebody, because I'm sorry, I hate when people post stuff in chat before the show starts. It just bugs me. It's like, wait until the show starts, then chat all you want, right? To me, it just doesn't look good, where it's like, hey, I got my finger up my nose. And then all of a sudden you see me go, hey, happy Thursday, everybody. It's like, okay, whatever. But they said, oh, yeah, a burning blimp, real subtle. And I said, it's a Zeppelin, because it was the Hindenburg. Hindenburg was not a blimp. And there is a huge difference between a Zeppelin and a blimp. So it was kind of like, seriously, you don't know the Hindenburg? Not that I'm sure there are people out there who think the Hindenburg was a blimp, but I highly doubt that this person actually knew that it was the Hindenburg. They just thought it was some burning blimp. All right, so anyways, that's why, once again, nothing's ever set in stone. But something else I want to do is, I don't want to cannibalize views for review videos, because something else that I've noticed is a lot of folks, they'll see the first look video, and we're taking a peek, we're talking about it, you're commenting in chat, I'm kind of throwing out my thoughts as we're taking a look, and they think that's a review. And they're like, oh, hey, thanks for the review. It's like, it's not a review. It's just a first look. I don't know anything about this outside of what we just saw, or maybe I have some information from the creator or from sell sheets or whatever. So I think a lot of those people, they'll see, oh, there's a review for the game. They're like, well, I already saw the review. I don't need to watch that. Mark Hawkswell says, I do think attention spans are getting shorter. Yes. Pretty sad. One of their least favorite additions to YouTube in recent years is shorts. Well, yeah, because they had to go the TikTok direction there. Yeah, I'll be the first to say shorter attention spans are not good. And I'm not talking about not good for content creators on social media and stuff. No, I mean, it's not good for the human race. Kevin R. Smith says, I honestly don't get why people who come for a first look aren't interested in news about their hobby. I get that a lot too. I would get that a lot, where some people like the news. Some people like the first looks. Most people like the brief intermission. So that's good. I like that. So Kevin R. Smith says, for the uninitiated, Zeppelin has a metal skin, while blimp skin is softer material. Okay, so to be really precise, a Zeppelin has a framework. So the skin is not metal. It has a metal framework. And like, say, the Hindenburg, that was fabric. And it was very flammable. Whereas a blimp is like a balloon. So a Zeppelin, even if the Zeppelin did not have any gas in it, it still would hold its shape. Whereas a blimp is a balloon. It takes its shape when it's filled. So it would just lay there like a deflated balloon. So that is it. Stray Kismet is with us in chat, says their table TPK'd out of Zeppelin and Call of Cthulhu once. Cthulhu says, what about a Led Zeppelin? Yeah, your band sucks. It's going to go over like a Led Zeppelin. All right. Mateo says, shorts get way more hits, though. Yeah, but what am I going to do shorts of? I don't do videos that are, conducive to doing shorts. I really don't. What am I going to do? Like my final thoughts and review score on a game? Most people are going to be wondering, well, how the hell did he get to that? Where does he come up with that? Okay, so let's tackle some of the stuff that you were asking in chat. W Forge wants to know why most starter sets are huge boxes with an insert that you lift the content to the top of the box. That lifts the content, I guess. I don't like the illusion of getting more than I get. Let's see. So the biggest starter sets, the ones that have gotten the best review scores from me aren't like that. So like this is just off the top of my head, right? Call of Cthulhu starter set, RuneQuest starter set, don't have inserts. The Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set, I don't recall that being an insert. And those are pretty full. Man, that RuneQuest starter set. I mean, that is like packed. When you get those dice in that box, you don't have really any other space. Let's see. So like the Traveler starter set box, which is actually, it's the book. Remember we were talking about that bundle of holding that's going on for second edition Mongoose Traveler, and it has the starter set as like at like the $12.95 or whatever, the low tier. That's the book. That's the core rule book broken up into 2 books. But it is the core rules. It's everything. Character creation, all that stuff, which we normally don't see in a vast majority of starter sets. Imperium Maledictum starter set. So off the top of my head, I can't think of any Cubicle 7 game starter sets that have that. The Pathfinder second edition starter set, I don't recall having a lot of empty space. And that is a pretty good starter set. So I don't know. I'm not sure what starter sets you might be talking about. It's funny because off the top of my head, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of picture one where the dice were like in the recessed area of the insert, but off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was. Sean O'Donnell says the Pathfinder second edition box is jammed. Yeah. So another reason why I liked it. The reality too is the starter sets that 5th edition had come out, those had a lot of content in them. So they were good. So, was Blade Runner like that? I don't seem to recall. I'll tell you what starter set I thought, at least in my opinion, was kind of a waste of time, was the Tales from the Loop starter set. And that was a starter set that, in my opinion, because I think it was $30, I thought it was a gyp. I did not give that a good review score because there was almost nothing in it. I was like, wow. Because normally we've seen like Alien, the role-playing game, which of course we've got the new edition that's going to be coming. which is going to get, I believe, a starter set too. Their starter set, if I remember right, I don't think it was actually called a starter set. Just like the Dune role-playing game from Odysseus Entertainment, their starter set was Agents of Dune, which was like the first part of campaign. But they weren't calling it a starter set. But the reality was, it was a starter set because it was giving you the rules. You had pre-generated characters. Actually, it's a really good adventure. So, Age of Adventure is with us. Said, played in Imperium Maledictum one-shot at recent con. Not sure if it intentionally supposed to mimic Monty Python. I've never laughed so hard in a game. Speaking of Monty Python, I will have my review of the Monty Python role-playing game this weekend. So stay tuned on that. You might be surprised. I got to be honest, I was surprised. I was. I'm not saying if it's good or it's bad. I'm just saying I was surprised. So stay tuned for that. I'll, of course, have lots of content this weekend. So anyway, so as far as the starter sets, let me know. Okay, here we go. The Shiver Blockbuster starter set. See, now I haven't seen that. I did review Shiver. I thought it was all right. I thought it was okay. If I remember right, I think it was like a 7 out of 10. Open the box and the adventure and the rules were on top, then 6 character sheets and a map. Then it was just the insert with the dice underneath it. Yep. Okay. Yeah, not something that I've had an opportunity to take a peek at. So, but yeah, I get it. I mean, there are companies out there who produce starter sets and they're like, hey, you know what? We really want to give you a lot of value with this to introduce you to not only the game, but in a lot of ways to the publisher. Because a lot of times starter sets, people buy starter sets. They haven't bought anything from, like, say, an example, Cubicle 7 Games. So if you bought the Whiffrip starter set, probably hadn't bought anything else from Cubicle 7 Games in the past. That's your introduction to Cubicle 7. Same with Free League Publishing for a lot of folks out there. So some publishers out there are like, hey, you know, we want to spoil you with our starter sets. And then others are like, well, we just kind of want to give you the bare minimum. So, you know, introduce you to the game. Let's see. I think I answered Stray Kismet when they were asking, was Blade Runner's starter set like that? No, it was actually really good. It was their second release that came out. Better Angels, which was like, it was like just a complete railroad, and it wasn't very good. I have not seen the other releases. I don't even know if they're out from Free League. As I mentioned before, right now, Free League Publishing's kind of, I don't really have the kind of relationship I did because the person they had with their PR department, who was fantastic, left, and they went with an outside company. So I actually go through the outside company to request review copies of stuff, but then I've got stuff that just showed up, like the One Ring and the Lord of the Rings role-playing. It just appeared one day, and I never had received an email saying, hey, this is coming out, request your review copies. So I was like, Kevin R. Smith said Jeff's biggest live show was a special Friday night Dragonlance 5e unboxing. That is very possible. That is very, very possible. Okay, so there were 2 other questions. So next one I'm going to tackle was something about adventures. Here we go. Von Moore asks, do I have a relatively consistent procedure that I like to use when designing adventures, especially dungeons for old school Renaissance-based games? All right, get ready. I have mentioned this in the past. Many of you probably have not seen the shows where I talked about this. I do not create my own adventures. I always use published adventures. But I can't think of a single published adventure I have ran as written. Because I don't know if it's because I just don't have the time to really sit back and be like, oh, okay, so yeah, I got a good idea. Yeah, oh, hey. So a lot of times when I get an idea for something that I'm like, oh man, that would probably be pretty cool in an adventure, I kind of set it to the side and then incorporate it in some way into the adventure I happen to be running. So I do not have a procedure that I stick to with adventures. I will tell you that how I prepare to run an adventure, I will read it from front to back so that I have a good feel for the proceedings, especially a Call of Cthulhu adventure. Because what I look for is I look to find like motivations for my NPCs. And thankfully, most of the time, like Call of Cthulhu, the important NPCs, you get some backstory. You know, probably how they think. But there are other situations where you're sort of like, I wonder how this might play out. So what I tend to do with adventures is, like I said, I read them start to finish, and then I will focus on what I think will accomplish in a session and go a little further than that. And then I'll because you got to remember, usually I'm running games for people I've run games for years. So a lot of times I'm kind of just sitting there thinking, well, let's see, how will so-and-so react to this? So I usually have, a bit of an idea, but then I'm not one of these people where it's like, okay, so if they do this, then this happens. If they do this, then this happens. I'm not like that. I will roll dice just to, okay, 50-50 chance here. This, that, we'll find out. So as Elliot Miller, my best friend, for those who don't watch the show enough, he knows that sometimes I'm just rolling dice behind a screen, which usually I don't even use a screen. I usually have a chair next to me that I'll have a small box top to roll dice in, and then my materials. I've used the screen a little bit more as of late, over the past, say, 2 years than I did before. I almost never used, I take that back. I never used a Game Master screen till maybe 4 years ago. I busted one out for the first time. It's all right. To me, it's weird. I find it more of a distraction. But I would think if I'm running something that is a new system to me, that maybe I'm not real comfortable with all the processes, then I would probably want to have a Game Master screen where it's like, oh, just like Tales of Argosa. Their Game Master screen's really good. It is really nice. First Level DM RPGs is with us, as they always read from front to back. Yes, I talk about this all the time, and I know there are a lot of folks out there, a lot of publishers out there, a lot of authors out there. They want to, push that no prep. You don't need to prepare for anything. Yeah, buy my product. Just roll dice on these tables, and yeah, okay. I say it all the time. You are not going to have a memorable game experience with a game master who hasn't done any sort of prep and who's just rolling shit just completely randomly. Now, I'm not saying you can't play a game like that. I'm saying you are not going to have a memorable experience. And when I run role-playing games, that's what I aim for. Now, it might be a memorable experience because of the wise-ass jokes that got cracked all night, right? Like we just heard about Imperium Maledictum turning into Monty Python. Or just crazy things that went on and bad dice rolls where, things just went downhill fast. Or, oh my God, I can't believe we actually made our way out of whatever situation it was. And it wasn't just because, oh, wow, we rolled 2 20s in a row. It's never what you run across. Matthew Blackwell says random encounters have a place, but you can't rely on it. Yeah, if you're talking about encounters, we're talking about no prep, where it's just everything's seat of the pants. And I'll tell you what, one of the reasons why is because sadly, and I hate to say this because I'm going to sound like an asshole, but sadly, I don't see the kind of imagination in a lot of game masters out there as when I got into the hobby or when I was into the hobby for like 20 years. I think imagination has taken a dip, at least with Americans. And the reason why is because most people have everything presented to them on screens. Don't have a lot of people reading books anymore. And we do know Americans love to be uninformed. So there's that too. Kevin R. Smith says, low prep is probably doable. Yeah, if you kind of have a skeleton to hang stuff on, hell yeah. Emergent play, sure. Got to have the right players with that too. Got to have the right game master for that. But yeah, that is, you could find yourself having some really memorable sessions that way. But no prep, yeah, I don't see it. Off the Shelf Board Game Review says those instant prep books are a sham. So like campaigns and things like that, I don't really, I'll be the first to point out that I have not run tons of fantasy role-playing games, that the vast, vast majority of my game mastering is as a Call of Cthulhu keeper. So campaigns usually would tend to be just published adventures that I string together. So that's one of the reasons why I would like to run an old school role-playing experience. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that we would be using like a Retro Clones rules, but I would like to run some old AD&D modules, newfangled way. See what happens. If you are on the Discord server, I did mention that I mentioned this the other day, that I would like to try to run a couple of Foundry campaigns, one being a fantasy role-playing game and the other one not. So maybe something along the lines of like Traveler, and have 4 or 5 players and have each campaign once a month. And then it would be $20 or $25, depending on the number of players, for people to partake in the campaign. So Pete Dracula says, I did no prep with Sailors of the Starless Sea. It was a blast. Well, that's pretty easy to pull off, because Once again, got to keep in mind, Sailors on the Starless Sea, super linear. Start off, you got two options of how you approach the destroyed keep. Once you get inside, you have one path. So it's not like, well, let's see, what do we do here? Right? Which way do we go? For the most part, I'm not saying that it's, everything's set in stone. I like Sailors on the Starless Sea. I always want to say Sailors on the hell's the Elric book? I'm trying to remember. Can't believe it. Sailor on the Seas of Fate. Jeez. I'm getting old, man. Can't remember my moorcock. Oh, jeez. So, Pete Stratkwitz says, yeah, they wouldn't try it with most modules. Yeah, I don't blame you. Okay, so like I said, just being honest, I don't create adventures from scratch. I just don't. I might get ideas for like NPCs. I might get ideas for situations and utilize those. I might replace an NPC from a published adventure with one of my own concoctions. But as far, I have to have some sort of a skeleton to hang things on. And like I said, I think it's probably because I never feel like I've got the sort of time that I could invest in, trying to come up with an adventure or something like that. So Off the Shelf Board Game Review says it's not old. Its brain is so full of wisdom, it takes longer to access the bits. I have so much useless, trivial knowledge. First Level DM RPG says, change their format from railroadish to bullet point prep. The Warden book from Mothership and some other OSR modules have opened their mind. Blew your mind wide open. Yeah. But that's just good adventure design. And it's funny because we talk about this a lot. Adventure-wise, published adventure-wise, there is a lot of absolute dog shit out there. The vast majority of PDFs, which are adventures on good old drive-through RPG, are just hot trash. They really are. And they're not play tested in any way, shape, or form. It's just somebody writes this shit up and then they're like, oh, there you go. And well, a lot of times, especially D&D stuff, third-party D&D stuff, is as if are they being paid by the word? Because as a game master, I don't need 3 pages devoted to a keyed location, especially when 2.5 pages of that is stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in the adventure. So, Off the Shelf Board Game Review says, serious though, people over prep and get buried in useless stuff. Yep, that is true too. Let's see. Kevin R. Smith says, module publishers encourage that. So many modules have history that the players are never going to interact with. Ever. Nor would the players or the player characters care. So let's see. So there was one more question, I thought. Let's see. Strike Kismet said, you want an insert? Try the coffin-shaped Ravenloft. I want to say, do I still have that or did I get rid of that? I still have it. Yeah. What a waste. Thankfully, it was sent to me as a review copy, so okay. I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, boy. And if I remember correctly, I think that was one of those 6 or 6.5 reviews. Semper Buffo says they're waiting on the Kickstarter for Blade Runner. Oh, yes. The Replicants. I think that was the last one that they did. Straight Kismet's at Jeff Pontificates. Yeah, this will kind of be what the show's like, although we are running a little longer than I had planned. So I kind of want to do maybe about an hour. So I'm just going to take a quick peek, see. I'm not seeing that other question that floated out. I thought there were 3 questions. One was as far as creating adventures, which I already told you I don't do. And then the other, I also tackled about the starter sets. Pete Strakowicz says news is their favorite part. There are people who do like the news, and they watch the news and then they tune out. So I know that for a fact. I don't know. I guess I'm just not seeing it. Oh, here it is. W Forge. How often should a game support itself with supplements? Troubleshooters RPG was out for about 2 years. Now they're coming out with new adventures. I thought the game was dead in the water. Yeah. So I did share a news piece about one of those adventures that are coming out in print. And that PDF's been out for a while. So that PDF, I think, came out like in November. But yes, I agree. In my opinion, depending on the size of the publisher and the number of creators who work on that, because, most people are freelancers for these publishers. Some of them are, on the clock all the time. I would hope that you would see a new adventure come out every 3 months. And I know some people out there might be like, whoa, damn, man, that's pretty fast. Remember, I'm talking about an adventure. So I'm talking like 30 pages of adventure, which, depending on what's packed into those 30 pages, you might have 5, 6, 7 sessions of gameplay, also depending on how long your sessions are. So you might actually have 3 months of adventures in that one release. So in my opinion, for most role-playing games, I would like to see something come out. And it doesn't have to be 300 pages. I only expect a supplemental material to come out maybe on a yearly basis. I mean, Paizo releases tons and tons of stuff, but Paizo also knows that everything that comes out from them is not, oh my God, this is the greatest adventure ever. So, but they've kind of locked themselves into, everybody expects a new Pathfinder adventure path chapter every month. And once in a while they've gone 2 months. But so yeah. So how long should a game be supported? All depends. That's going to depend on the publisher. But yes, so as an example, the Troubleshooters, I think it went through different publishers, to be honest, because I think it was originally released from a French publisher. Helmgast has it. It's available by way of Modifius Entertainment here in the US. But how long should a role-playing game be supported? All depends. I mean, if people are buying releases for it, support it for as long as you want. if things have dried up, if sales have dried up, then you might move on to other pastures, greener pastures there. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, I hate when I see and this is one of the reasons why. So Semper Buffo says it's still being published in French by it's like Arcane Archive, something like that. William Helhizaias is with us again. I hate to see role-playing games come out and then they're like vaporware, but they came out. And that's something that we see a lot with Osprey Games. And I've had people say, oh, well, you know what? I don't need anything but the core book because I create all my own adventures, which is fantastic. But that's not the norm. It's not 1978 anymore. It's 2025. Most people do not have that sort of free time to create their own adventures. They want published material to either run as written or to at least riff off of. But I hate when I see these role-playing games come out. And I don't mean to pick on Osprey Games because there's other publishers that do this as well, that they'll release something. It doesn't even have an adventure in the book. And it's like, it's like, what the hell? Stray Kismet says, sales have dried up, Jeff. Time to go back to selling monorails. So William says, Morkborg or Meatpig is high on the hog. Yeah, but there's a lot of shit out there for Morkborg. There is a lot of absolute trash out there, third-party wise, for Morkborg. And that is a role-playing game that, unless you've got reviews from trustworthy sources, you are really rolling the dice when you pick up something from a third party for the Borg line of games. So, but yeah, I mean, what is it? Somebody told me I need to check out Starborg, which is kind of like Star Wars for Morkborg. And I was like, wow, okay. Sounds interesting. Because it's just the rules light. One of the problems that we see with some of the Morkborg releases is that it is too focused on the art punk aspect, and there's no game there. It's like, yeah, okay, here's some random tables and stuff and some real oddball artwork. 1999. Like, what? So that's why there's some people who just stay away from Morkborg altogether. And I liked Morkborg. I like Cyborg and Pirateborg far better, but I'm not a grim, dark guy anyway. So Keith Ulis says, I think J.P. Couvert is the brains behind Starborg. I don't know. Could be. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to take a peek at it. I don't know if it's out in print. I don't know if it's only PDF or something. Also, keep in mind, if there are publishers out there that you want me to reach out to, oh, I know. Other thing I was going to mention, I think it was Pete Drakulich when they said, hey, you should devote a day of the week to like independent game companies and zines and stuff like that. I mentioned, I share news on every show from indies, usually more than one piece. Other thing too is I can't share video of stuff if I don't have it. So a lot of these independent game companies, they don't know who I am. A lot of these, publishers, small publishers, they're like, the Gaming Gang, what's that? No idea. So got to keep that in mind too. So as far as like Exalted Funeral, they'll send me some stuff. I've already talked about, I should try to tried to touch base. I'm trying to remember if I did or not. With Space Penguin Inc., they're another that actually does a lot of independent stuff, a lot of zine stuff. I noticed Exalted Funeral tends to do a bit more oddball stuff. Like I said, I didn't have any clue why they sent the molt to me. It's like, okay, well, I got a review of it coming up. Got a review. William asks, does anybody care about Wizards of the Coast? I'm sure people do. I mean, yeah, I root for Dungeons and Dragons. I really do. Got nothing against it. I don't have anything against the people at Wizards of the Coast or anything like that. They've got the beef with me. So, because they didn't like me telling my opinion that I guess I should have been on board. So, Pete Stracklich says, yes, JP Couvert for Starborg also has new hardcover of his Dragon Town zines on pre-order. So they are in on that. It's a great example of creating your own materials. Cool. W4 says they bought the D&D 2024. I did too. You see me do the reviews. Probably won't buy any more from them. I probably won't either. Sean O'Donnell says, I'd love to care about Wizards of the Coast again. See, that's how I kind of look at it too. I would like to care, but yeah, it's when you aim your game at the lowest common denominator out there. And I don't mean that as far as like, oh, these certain kind of people. I don't mean that at all. What I mean by lowest common denominator is when you're trying to make a game that's going to please everybody, that won't offend anybody, you're not going to please anyone. You just won't. Not these days. So it's, to me, Dungeons and Dragons has become just this kind of wishy-washy, kumbaya, everybody's holding hands. Yay! Monsters, there are no monsters anymore. We all get along. Yay! Okay, well then why are you carrying all these weapons, got all these offensive spells? What's all that for then? Nobody's evil. They're just misunderstood. So, okay. Mark Coxwell says, to be fair, I really like the Player's Handbook. The DM's Guide seems decent. I like, out of the three books, I like Dungeon Master's Guide the best. I thought that was really well done. So, first level DM RPG says target audience now. Well, but the thing is, what Hasbro is trying to do is have the target audience everyone. And that's just not going to happen. It just won't. So if you, I don't care about the WotC hate. I don't get involved in that. I've said it time and time again. I don't hate anything. It's way too strong a word. But if you look at some of the stuff that people say, they're not pleasing anybody. They're not pleasing the old guard, the new guard, the grognard, nobody. So, Stray Kismet says, I found the Discord and I'm taking it with me. All right, let's get ready to wrap up. Kevin R. Smith says, a lot of people think the Dungeon Master's Guide is the best of the books, a fitting swan song for Chris Perkins. Yeah. So I am trying to bring more coverage of other companies to you. And then there's some companies that I cover stuff all the time of, and it's kind of like, okay, so what's going, like Troll Lord Games. I haven't seen anything from Troll Lord Games in a while. So I have reached out to them, and it's weird because they'll like promote my reviews, which is always nice. I just saw Cobalt Press put my review of the Old Margrave in their newsletter. I thought that was cool. very nice of them. But it's kind of weird. Like, I'll get stuff and then things dry up. And then I notice, well, they just released this, that. It's like, don't you want me sharing video with that? It's like, okay. I don't know. I don't know. Semper Buffo says, Modifius Star Trek. You know, it was weird. Modifius was sending stuff. And then I think Modifius ended up doing the, okay, we're going to have an outside source handle all of our marketing. And then they did that for a little bit. And then they were like, yeah, no, we're going to bring the marketing back in. And I don't know who to contact. So I will reach out because we were starting to get some Modifius stuff. I shared coverage. I did some reviews. And to be honest, I would love to bring you coverage of the latest edition of Star Trek Adventures. I certainly would. The funny thing is, I would not be shocked if I could actually get Elliot Miller back on board a little bit with the Gaming Gang, maybe doing some reviews of the Modifius Star Trek stuff, because he is a big Trekker. Notice I didn't say Trekkie. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so hopefully you like the new adjusted format of the dispatch. We're going to do this for a while. I will point out the shows aren't going to be an hour and a half. They'll probably run about an hour, maybe a little over an hour. But yes, keep questions coming. Got some ideas for topics you want to float out? By all means, you should do that as well. Sharon Dow says the Castles and Crusades, Monsters and Treasure, and the Castle Keeper's Guide for Foundry should be done soon. Yeah. Because to be honest, I talked about how I would like to run an old school role-playing game, a fantasy role-playing game campaign on Foundry. I would consider using Castles and Crusades. But like I said, it's weird. I reached out and said, hey, could I check out the release for Foundry? And I see you've released the Monstrous Armory, and never heard anything. Didn't hear anything. So also, if there's publishers out there that you frequent and you enjoy their work, let them know about the Gaming Gang. They may not know anything about this outlet, and maybe they'd like to see some additional coverage too. All right, everybody, that is it for tonight. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only were you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company, and you're providing some questions, some topics for us to tackle here as well. Now, of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,200 videos here on the channel. I should also mention, we just passed 17,000 articles over on thegaminggang.com. Pretty wild. Hey, speaking of thegaminggang.com, when you're not watching videos here on the channel, be sure to head on over to the website, because you're going to find stuff that you will not find here on YouTube. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. And of course, if you like the video, please give it a quick thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. We'll not only let you know when the dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. We'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of the aforementioned The Troubleshooters from Helmgast AB and Modifius Entertainment. Like this a bunch. Really do. Okay, everybody. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully you like the new format. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. But thank you very much for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.